everybody, welcome back for another Mad Panic game review, and today we are taking a look at one of the most recent shoot-'em-ups to be released for the Nintendo Switch, at least in physical form, and that is DODONPACHI Daifukatsu, aka DODONPACHI Resurrection, which I was actually pretty surprised to see get a physical release, honestly. I've been anticipating the M2 port of DODONPACHI Daiojo, M2 being a developer that has been absolutely crushing it lately with one awesome STG port after another. But when I saw that Livewire, who previously ported some of Cave's other shooters to the Switch, would be releasing their game physically first, I thought I might as well try it out. A little appetizer before getting to Daiojo, but I was instead delivered a 3-course meal because this is an awesome port of DDP Resurrection, and it is absolutely stuffed with gameplay modes. For starters, we get version 1.5, which is the original arcade version of Daifukatsu, and if you're watching this video and still have somehow never played a DODONPACHI game, this is basically the quintessential bullet hell shooter. It gives you 3 different ships to choose from that all have different fire modes and slight differences in speed and handling, and in addition to that, you also have several different ship styles to choose from that alter your ship's firepower and abilities, such as having access to a supply of super bombs and an auto bomb ability but weaker primary weapon, or being able to access a hyper mode that greatly increases your firepower, but not having any bombs to fall back on. It's quite a bit of variety for a shooter, and it's fun to mix and match and find the gameplay style that works best for you. There are also options to play around with to alter the game's difficulty, controls, and how many lives you have per credit, but generally speaking, this is a fast-paced, chaotic, and very challenging shooter with a variety of enemy ship types and some absolutely brain-melting boss battles, and on top of that, we're treated to some excellent visuals and a great soundtrack. It's always a concern with ports like this that they may have been ported poorly, featuring excessive input lag or various graphical and audio imperfections, but that's not the case here. Livewire has done an amazing job with this port, delivering on some responsive gameplay that I was very happy with. Indeed, this is a fantastic port of DDP Resurrection, and that is just one of 8, count them 8, different gameplay modes available in this package. In addition to the original arcade mode, there is also the 1.51 mode, which to me is the least interesting of the various modes included here. The game states that it's a special event only version of the game, and that special event was the Cave Shooting Festival back in 2010. I'm not exactly sure what the differences here are, though. To me it plays pretty much the exact same as the regular arcade mode, though I imagine there's some alteration to the scoring system or something like that, but overall, it just feels like plain old DDP Resurrection to me. Next, we have the Version B mode, which plays like a caravan mode of sorts. It allows you to not only pick your ship and style, but also whatever stage you want to play in. And essentially, you just do your best to rack up the highest score possible in that one stage, so I guess you can think of it as kind of the score attack mode. It's a lot of fun, but also quite the challenge. After that, we have version L, which I had a lot of fun with. In this mode, you play as the Type A ship from DODONPACHI Daiojo, This allows you to switch between normal and boost fire modes, activate a hyper mode for maximum firepower, and still have an auto bomb to fall back on. So you're absolutely armed to the teeth, and your movement speed is rather fast, but it's DDP, so it's still one hell of a challenging mode, and it's insanely fun. It's an especially nice deviation if you've been playing the arcade mode for a good long while. Finally, for 1.5, we have the Novice mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's just an easier version of the original arcade mode, perfect for newcomers to the genre. It starts out easy enough, and the difficulty gradually increases, but it's a great way to ease into DODONPACHI before taking on some of the more challenging gameplay modes. And speaking of challenging, next up we have the Black Label mode. And this is a mode that again plays very much like the arcade original, but there are alterations to things like bullet canceling, as well as how you use your bombs and your hyper mode, but essentially the intention behind Black Label is that it's DDP Resurrection cranked up to 11. It's more difficult, especially if you're playing with the strong style enabled, and it features a new supercharged soundtrack and some mild graphical upgrades too. When you've had your fill of version 1.5 and want to kick things up a notch, this is definitely the mode for you. Next up, we have another Novice mode, this time for Black Label, which is very fortunate because, as I said, Black Label does crank up the difficulty, and there are some alterations to the gameplay that may take some getting used to. So for those of us that need a little seasoning before we're ready to take on the Black Label brutality, this is a very useful gameplay mode. Last but certainly not least, we have the Black Label Arranged mode, which just might be my favorite mode included here because it lets you play through the entire game as the ship from Ketsui, another excellent cave shooter, and one I very much like. So you get the lock-on ability from Ketsui, which deals massive damage, and you can collect the green score bonuses that emerge from destroyed enemies, and you have access to both super bombs and a hyper mode. And just overall, this mode is a lot of fun and something different from the rest of the gameplay modes included here. It's still very challenging, it can definitely kick your ass, as it admittedly did mine, but you'll have a great time all along the way. So that's it. One game, 8 different gameplay modes, hours of enjoyment, and especially if you're a shooter fan and a lover of bullet hell games specifically, I think this is a must-own because it's just so robust and it's been ported very faithfully, so I think it's definitely worth owning. It is currently available digitally both on Steam and the Nintendo eShop, but if you're like me and you prefer to have physical copies of your games, the physical Switch version was published by Super Deluxe Games, which is what I played for this review, and it is definitely well worth owning. It's DODONPACHI Daifukatsu, and it's awesome. there you go, everybody. There's my review of DODONPACHI Dai Fukatsu. What an amazing game. What an amazing package. So many gameplay modes, so little time. But just so damn fun, and I was really blown away. Like I said in the review, here I'm sitting waiting for the M2 shot triggers port of Diojo, and here comes Dai Fukatsu to just blow me away, melt my face with its awesomeness. So let me know down in the comments, have you played Dai Fukatsu? Have you played this port of Dai Fukatsu? And what did you think of it? And are you hotly anticipating DODONPACHI Diojo as much as I am? Because that game is going to be awesome, but honestly, it's got some stiff competition. If they're going to do a better job than what was done with this port of DDP Resurrection, I'm going to be very impressed indeed. But that's it, everybody. Again, let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game and what you think of the DODONPACHI series in general. Are they the best bullet hells ever made, or have they been surpassed by some of the more modern bullet hell shooters? I'd love to hear your opinions. And with that being said, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.